Hello there, Jim Dramatic here. Welcome to another podcast. I'm sorry if you missed the podcast. It's been, oh god, since June. Lovely. And we're doing Heat F of Series 6. Last time, of course, we had some great robots. I believe, yes, because it was also the Heat with S3 in it. Oh no, it wasn't. It was the Wild Thing Heat. That's how long it's been. Holy crap. I'm forgetting the heats. But joining me today, it is Jevan from World of Woodrow.
Hello.
Hello. It's nice to have. It's been a while since you've been on a podcast, so it's nice to have you back on.
Yeah.
And it's a good heat, this one, so it's nice to have you on for this one.
Plenty to sink our teeth into.
Plenty indeed. And also joining us, totally not at the last moment, but I'm very grateful nonetheless, is Charlie from Good Robottal.
Hello, but with COVID.
I mean, it's a first, isn't it? First guest on Jim Dramatic with COVID, I believe.
It must be a 2020 thing, surely, right? It's the new world order. One of the guests now has to have COVID.
Exactly.
I think it's legally obliged at this point.
Yeah.
But yes, we are doing Heat F, and of course, this is the heat with the very, very stacked first round, and then kind of very standard fight for the rest of it. Oddly enough, but
It's a bit spinner heavy, I thought.
yeah, there's a lot of spinners.
Yeah.
I mean, there's actually two robots with two spinners. Oddly
Yeah.
enough, which is not often you see that. But one thing that really annoys me about this heat, and I don't know if I've just been away from watching Series 6 in a while, but they just go through the entire heat in the intro.
Yep.
Flat out. There's no subtlety. It's like,
It spoils every single fight. It shows you how it starts. It shows you how it ends. They are literally one step away from showing you who wins the entire heat. Like
yeah.
it's ridiculous.
It's like, will Fluffy survive? No, it's getting flipped on the arena floor flipper, so I don't think it's going to win this heat anytime soon. Oh, will Can
Will
Opener do
Thermador
well?
escape the pit? No,
Drives
it's
in.
just fallen in it.
Will Can Opener do well? No, it's got a giant gash down the side of it. What do you think is going to happen to it? Oh, and also it's Can
They
Opener.
literally go through every round. They go through up to the heat final as well. They show footage from the heat final. What is that about?
I don't know. I mean, spoilers for this. Oh god, almost 20-year-old heat. It's 20 years old this September, so wow,
God.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of obvious who wins this heat. I mean, they almost spoiled it, but if you've not been in a bubble, you kind of know who won this heat. And of course, that was 13 Black, the double spinner, the fanboy of Jackpot for this series of BattleBots, going on the casino theme. But it's funny to me because 13 Black, I mean, in retrospect, it was obviously a stacked battle because 13 Black was in it. But at the time, it only appeared twice and never really done a lot in the series. I think because it lost to Corkscrew in Series 5 in the first round. And it only had Limpet prior to that, which was just a slow tracked robot that it worked.
Yeah,
But it didn't
sure.
really light the world on fire. But when you think about it, it's like, oh crap, 13 was actually really good this series, and it's just it kind of comes out of nowhere, even though it's appeared twice
It
prior.
was sort of one of two of the rises of this series. I felt this and Dan Tomkia, with the sort of they almost progressed to legend status within this series because they both appeared in the All Stars tournament, I believe, in Extreme 2.
I'd also
And I mean, to be fair, they weren't really all stars. They'd only just sort of popped up on TV, at least. Obviously, as you said, 13 Black had appeared Series 5, but only very briefly. And yeah, it's nice that we sort of got a midway through Robot Wars rise to fame for these two robots.
yeah, it's also the same with Terrorets as well, because like John Reed had been in the sport since like Series 2 and gone to America and done well, but never really progressed very far in England. Then suddenly just brings out Terrorets out of nowhere. It just improves and just like is like grand finalist. And 13 Black's the same thing. And like, oh, it's quite a cool idea for a spinner, but we might not see it again. And then boom, semi-finals.
Yeah.
Sadly, this is the only time John Denny really gets loads of success, because it doesn't do as well in Series 7. It gets, like, second round. And then Heavy Metal was just kind of existed in Series 9, unfortunately. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't mind Heavy Metal, but it didn't really set the world on fire at any point.
It still confuses me as to what it actually does.
I'm not
I'm
even
still
sure.
not entirely sure.
I'm not sure John Denny knows what it does at this point. I mean, it's funny because Limpet did get a resurgence in Bugglebots as well, to its credit, which is kind of funny being that old robot back. I mean, I think Heavy Metal's the only one out of the three that hasn't had any kind of success in any form. Maybe for good reason, I don't know. But I don't know what it is, because I love Jackpot in BattleBots, and I love 13 Black just because they have that same theme. I don't know if it is the casino theme or not I love about it, or...
What we're learning is James is a gambler.
Oh, yes. I gamble on people liking my content, and I thought...
Honey, where's the baby? I sold it for money, for slots.
And actually, it kind of coincides...
I will say, like...
Oh, go on, sorry.
I'll say with 13 Black, one thing that I've always had a comparison to, at least especially given with modern times, is RotatoR, where like the first season you see it, it's like, okay, it's neat enough, but it doesn't do anything. And then the next season, it just steps up in such a crazy way. Whereas with 13 Black, it kind of struggled afterwards with the 2 discs, and then RotatoR just basically is now just a more traditional undercutter.
Yeah, it's actually kind of like, it's like really weird, like, Pokemon fusion things you can go online. You just put 2 Pokemon together. It's like if you put Jackpot and RotatoR in together, you got 13 Black, essentially. Weirdly enough. Except, obviously, both discs are on the same plane as opposed to one above, one below, but... Although, RotatoR doesn't... Yeah, it's Chromefly, but good, which is not a very big achievement, really.
Yeah, so it's a very, very low standard.
Although I was going to say it's like RotatoR, but RotatoR actually uses... they used to use 2 discs, and now they just... they fancy the one nowadays, unfortunately. But 13 Black is I've always had a massive affinity for. Even... It's kind of funny because I remember seeing pictures of it, like, and it's qualified for Series 5, and it's just like there's no colour on it. Like, it's just 13, and it's just green. And then again, like,
do y'all oh, sorry.
No, go on, it's fine.
I was like, do y'all remember being kids and seeing on it was like either one of the Robot Wars websites or the 13 Black website, seeing that that a toy was coming out and being so excited until you realized it was April Fool's? That is the first time I ever experienced betrayal.
Oh, that would be so cool, wouldn't it, if this thing had got a pullback or something?
I think it was due to, and then they cancelled Robot Wars. It was, I think, this and Typhoon were going to get toys.
Although I'm still surprised Behemoth never got anything whatsoever. That's the biggest disappointment out of all the classic robots.
Even when they brought back Robot Wars, you're like, okay, surely Behemoth now is going to get... Nope.
It got nothing.
I mean, actually, same with Terahertz. It never got anything. Hell, like, John Reed got toys being on BattleBots than he did on Robot Wars, which is insane to me to think about.
Yeah, the fact that there's a Kilohertz toy out there, but we can't get it because America.
Yeah, and...
John Reed is ours.
He's ours, damn it. We control him. We own him. He's ours now. Just you have Beta. Ooh, I'm not going to fire my axe. Ooh, Terahertz just fires it every 2 seconds because Chad-like, as you do. This
was. I mean, we're thinking about classic John Reed where he'd just go wild with it.
Oh, especially in Series 6, this Terahertz for Jesus. I feel sorry for Panic Attack in this series, just the amount of hits it got.
I don't.
Well, yeah, it is the gold version as well, so yeah, there's partial reason not to care about it. But that's for another heat, of course. We don't have to think about that one for now. Because the runner-up was... Actually, its last main series appearance ever was Stinger, the 11th seed in this series. Still looking like a cock and balls, even after all this time. It's not changed.
Are you into CBT?
I'm
The Kill A Lot is, we know it.
I'm more into CST, cock and stinger torture, personally. Because
I mean,
oh god, I just said that on live, didn't I? Oh well.
I've got such a soft spot for Stinger. I really do. Like,
And
it's
where
one
is
of
that
those.
soft spot, Charlie?
It's on my left testicle. I need to go get it checked.
Not soft anymore. No, I have a soft
But
spot.
no, like I appreciate just like how just out there of a robot it was, and not only that, but the fact that it wouldn't die. Like it, I'm I'm probably wrong on this. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to come flock in the comments and scream and yell at me because I got this wrong. But I don't think it was ever actually like properly like KO'd. Like if it ever was, it was like pitted or thrown out of the arena. But as far as like actually breaking down, I don't remember that ever happening.
I think it was in Series 5 against S3, I think. If not, I got severely hit by S3. I mean, I'll be honest with you, in this series, it felt very sedate compared to what it normally is. Like,
I don't think it was firing on all cylinders.
I mean, it barely got. I mean, and it was lucky to get through its first round because Thermador 2 kind of broke straight away, and Chomp A Lot got completely mauled by 13 Black. Because if it had come down to it, if like Thermador 2 had been working fine, I just don't really see what Stinger. I mean, Stinger did ultimately cause the KO, but it would seem to just because Stinger just kind of flung around like it always does.
Yeah.
It was very slow as well. Like it didn't. Like it kind of did stuff in this heat, but majority of the time it just kind of it only like in the Fluffy fight it only got going at the second half. Like when Fluffy broke down, it's like now we can actually start fighting it.
Yeah.
And then the heat final was just kind of 13 Black bumping into it and occasionally causing a bit of minor damage on it.
To be fair, neither robot in that heat final could do much to the other.
Yeah, it was all a case of trying to hitting it to make it die, or it was never going to die.
It was an incredible stalemate.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately the downside of Stinger, though. As much as I like it, is that if it's not firing on all cylinders, it's very boring to watch. Because I think it spent about 8% of this heat spinning around in circles and occasionally hitting a robot. And then finally, like, it went all out against Fluffy, but that's the only time I remember seeing it doing anything in this heat of substance. Like, that felt like proper Stinger then. This is the problem with Stinger, though. I've talked about this in this is the fourth consecutive series talking about Stinger, and it's not really changed since Series 4.
No.
Like in Series 3 I had the pizza cutter on it for some reason, but in every other series it's had the classic spear on it, and yeah, it was just kind of a mediocre performance this series for the most part. It didn't really feel like... I mean, there's a reason probably why there was... Because a lot of people seem to rumour that Stinger didn't come back because of the active weapon rule, but I think they just retired, from what I can tell. They didn't seem to want to come back, which I can understand, given the Series 6 performance.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel the same.
There was only like so much you could really do with a Thwackbot at the time. Like I don't think people really knew about like UHMW and making like these huge thick HDP plastic wheels that you see they see on Gabriel. So at that point, really, what else could you do with a Thwackbot?
I guess at this time period, probably not much. I mean, also the fact that it seems to obviously more focused on active weaponry. There weren't many robots post Series 5 or like around Series 5 that did really well without an active weapon. At any point, you had to kind of have a spinner or a flipper just to stay afloat in Robot Wars, unless you're Razor.
Plus,
even Razor didn't stay afloat. Let's be honest.
No.
Yeah, Razor had its time. I mean, if there's Razor's... As soon as it started getting good, that's when I stopped getting interested with Razor. Like, prior to that, I was like, oh, they actually win because it's been doing bad every other series. And you had some kind of, like, mystery factor to it. By Series 5, I'm like, yeah, it's just grabbing the robot and then it's winning. Next. It's like...
Here's the thing with Stinger that I think it was made in an era where you had these, like, thin metal boxes with, like, all of the internals and then a shit ton of air. So you thwack it around a couple times, it's enough to really jar something out of place. But as time went on, as the material got better and better, and as the robots got more and more compact, it was a lot harder to do that. with the typical thwack block design. I mean, that's why another reason why Gabriel works so well is because it has this gigantic arc it can go through because of the huge wheels to cause damage. Whereas with Stinger, it was like a third of that, if even.
Speaking of not really living up to their full potential, oh, it's Fluffy.
We don't have to talk about Fluffy, surely.
I mean, it wasn't the heat. I mean, it had a good first round. Its first round, in fairness, was very on form with Fluffy, because, like, given the fact it only been in Series 5, it broke down in its heat file, but in every other round prior, it was doing really well. So you think,
it was giving Pussycat a run for its money in Series 5.
It was beating Pussycat outright. I mean, it moved the disc off it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it hadn't broken down, even if its weapon had broken down or something, but the robot had still worked, it probably would have done enough already in the first half to win. Because it basically completely declawed Pussycat in a way. But this, yeah, I mean, it got a massive hit on can opener. Like, it did open it like a can, literally. It just severed that entire side. Which is funny because in the pits, the thing where the team said that their armor's really thick, or it can like take a lot of beatings, and their weakness is thin armor, but whatever. But then Fluffy just kind of it tried against Stinger, but then its weapon went as quickly as it started, and then Stinger finally got a few loads of good blows on it, and it went down like usual.
Mm.
It's just I remember discussing this before we were recording, but it got worse after every appearance. Like, it got one round lower.
Yeah.
Like, heat final, second round here, and then losing alongside Scary Go Round in Series 7. I
mean, that's a categorical yikes, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're losing in the same round as Scary Go Round, yeah, you need to sort the reliability out, I think.
Yeah.
And
it was reliability that was its main undoing, because obviously it was a reasonably competent robot. They updated their armor each series to be stronger, tougher. You know, they had the all metal surrounds this time round. Next time they have metal tops and bottoms as well.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
It's just a big shame, really.
Yeah.
It's a tale as old as time, where you have this robot with this like really destructive weapon, and then it just always ends up just midway through the fight and dying. You see it from really like some of the earliest seasons of BattleBots and Robot Wars to even modern day, where you have a robot that just has like this big destructive weapon, and it can clearly cause a lot of damage, but its main undoing is the fact that it just constantly keeps dying. And that's that. There's few robots who have plagued that as hard as Fluffy. Like, it has been every single time. I feel its downfall is its reliability has been just yikes.
And it's almost like watching Behemoth just completely fail at every hurdle. Although Behemoth always had different ways of going out, at least, like it was pitted or it broke down or it, Link came out or something.
I feel it was incredibly unlucky for the Behemoth team, because they were always chasing a different issue.
Yeah.
Like, good, we finally fixed it. No, what's gone wrong this time?
Yeah, exactly. Or like, I mean, again, the saddest one was probably in Series 7 when they got stuck in forward drive. That's the saddest loss out of them all. Maybe that or the Spike. I can't. They're both pretty bad. But yeah, Fluffy just, again, every time I talk about Fluffy, I have to always like put a little asterisk saying it's good when it works. There's a reason why robots like Hypnodisc were consistent, because for the most of the fights that mattered, it would do all right. Or something like Carbide is probably the best example of the modern version of Fluffy that actually just was Series 9 was way too consistent, if anything, because it was it never like broke a sweat in Series 9. Unfortunately, it's kind of it's robot's fault at the end of the day. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But then the other robot though that didn't make it past the second round was a Double Trouble. Discount Shredder, I like to call it.
I legitimately, as a kid, I thought that Shredder had just entered in twice, because this, and again, maybe like for a 6-year-old me, this and Shredder were indistinguishable.
They are almost the same robot, really. Although Shredder was definitely better.
Yeah. this is where like modern day rule sets, where you got like the selection committee of BattleBots perhaps not choosing two of identical robots. This is what it prevents us against, basically.
Yeah, because Double Trouble also was just so strange because those discs don't really poke out of the robot very much, and also it's really high up.
I mean,
for a spinner.
It can run inverted like an undercutter, but then my question is, why not just do that in the first place?
Yeah, or try and do like maybe put the cutters in the middle, maybe so it doesn't matter which way it is, or something. I don't know. There's multiple ways they could have done this better.
I'll say, according to lore, Valkyrie existed at this time because it's the original undercutter. So why didn't they just take a cue from their book?
I mean, yeah, they're technically an undercutter if you flip upside down. I mean, to their credit, they did survive 13 Black despite how much of a beating they took. Like,
yeah, went the full 3 minutes, didn't it? Or 5 minutes even back
like,
then.
One of their weapons came up. It was like Shredder against. It was obviously against S3, but a lot lesser. But like part of the front armor was completely hanging off by the end of it, and one weapon missing. And it proved it could like make sparks against stuff, but it could never actually get a good grip on anything. And again, that's probably just because of how small the discs were, or just how.
Well, it didn't have much bite at all, really.
No, I mean, there's a few sparks against Can Opener, but that was basically the most we saw it do, and then it...
Nothing particularly to shout about, is it?
No, it's just a shame, really. I haven't mentioned this was the Rambot team, and I always liked Rambot from Series 4, because it was in probably one of the closest first-round fights. Actually, it's probably the closest first-round fight of the series. And if it was in any other heat, or any other fight, it might have got past the first round, possibly, but... And then they go from this like kind of like really speedy kind of like wedge bot to I don't know, just double spinner thing that doesn't really work that well. But it worked all the time. It's just not very effective. That was its biggest problem. We gotta go for the best robot. Let's go for Chomp A Lot. You know, the only newcomer in this entire heat as well.
So I was having a look on the wiki about this, and apparently, well, not about this in particular, but just having a read through of the wiki, and it says Chomp A Lot had mistakenly left the protective foam on the tip of Chomp A Lot's dual weapon for its first round battle.
Yeah, you can see it in the fight as well. When it grabs onto 13 Black, you see this little kind of like ball or something on top of it, and it just grabs but doesn't actually do any damage. I was saying that I love Chomp A Lot though. It was one of the saddest things in the reboot, but but I just can't hate this thing. I mean, again, I say this in the nicest way, but when Chomp A Lot's the worst robot in that first 4-way battle, it's not bad. I mean, again, Chomp A Lot's not bad. It's just, I guess, relatively speaking,
it won it's legitimately one of the weirdest like careers in really all of robot combat for me. Like it lost in the first round in probably the most stacked like melee of the entire series. I mean, it was kind of like where you'd see in Series 9 where Cobra lost going up against Eruption and Behemoth, where I mean, of course it would, because look at who you're facing.
Yeah.
Same thing here with Chomp A Lot. And then it goes in, wins the Iron Maidens, doesn't show up because it had issues with its receiver crystal, which in my mind, I imagine a receiver crystal in my head is like literally like a giant amethyst geode they just shoved in the robot to get it to work.
Yes, it's powered by magic.
I mean, it is a dragon after all, so crystals are appropriate.
It's one of the most aesthetically cool robots, and I would have loved to have seen, like, I know it got absolutely decimated in Series 8, and I think at that point they were just done with it, but I really would have loved to have seen something like this. Like, imagine like Chomp A lot of a sleeker design, you know, like way more kind of like made for modern times, kind of almost a Quantum-esque shape, but you still have the wings on the side that open up and can self-ride it. And then add fire, because what dragon is good without fire?
All dragon. No dragon's good without fire. I mean, in its current form, it does kind of look as like oddball robots you see in the first series of modern BattleBots.
It looks like the OG Chomp, like the original, like before the hammer, the original Chomp from
Yes,
BattleBots.
when it's actually called Chomp for a reason, not axe or whatever it was supposed, or the overhead whacker it's supposed to be now, or just Walkerbot now. I have a soft spot for the team and the robot. I do love Chomp a lot. Again, another robot didn't make it in Series 5, even though Underbot did. But
Yeah.
it
Twister.
Yeah, Twister made. Yeah, I don't remember Twister. But yeah, Chomp A Lot. I mean, it was just a case of being probably one of the worst first round melees. I mean, we'll probably discuss it in a little bit more detail afterwards, but it was possibly the absolute worst round it could have been in.
Yeah, it could have got through on another day, I reckon.
Yeah,
Because it was doing well. It was crushing 13 Black's disc.
yeah. And it went to went from the Razor school of putting wing self-writers, which I'll always approve of. Because as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Razor, I love that self-writing mechanism if it's a bit slow. And Chomp A Lot used that idea and actually kind of, I think they incorporated it a bit better actually, because put the wings for the dragon and all that. So I kind of like the idea of it kind of working a bit better. It fits better. And then, actually, we should move on to next. Let's just do Thermador 2 in the same fight. Why not?
No, we don't have to do that. We can avoid Thermador 2.
I feel like I'm triggering Jevan a lot in this episode.
It's just there are so many robots that I really love in this episode that just don't perform. And Thermador 2 is prime suspect number 1. Like, it's the local bot for me. Norfolk's finest. Out in round 1 within the first minute because it dies. Except it then drives perfectly fine. So I'm thinking potentially some sort of signal issues or something. I don't know, but
Well, I think
it was able to drive for a bit, but it's just.
I think the reason why was because apparently Stinger hit it really early, like in the first few seconds of the fight, and it bent one of the motors in, so it couldn't move properly on one side as easily. So
But then they drive in a straight line into the pit.
Yeah, I don't understand what happened. Maybe it like fixed itself, and they were like at the wrong position or something, and it just went straight into the pit. They were right next to it when that happened, so maybe like it started working again, and then straight into the pit. Because for most of the fight, they were going in a circle.
Thermador's a robot that say what you want about it, it never had a mid performance. Like if it didn't go out,
everything or nothing.
Yeah, like if it made it past the first round, it basically was going to win its heat. Like that's just kind of just the rule it operated by. Is if it survived the first round, it was going to win its heat. And it's so weird because I mean, I do love Thermador 2. It's probably one of my favorite Robot Wars machines just for how Pete Abramson will go on about how you want your robot to be a silhouette that can be easily recognizable, like even if it's in black and white. Thermador is one of those robots. You completely black it out. It's just the outline of it. You know what it is right away.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, Thermador, it just always looks so good, even if it half the time never does well at all. Like, I love the aesthetic of it. Like, I love that they kept the claws, even though they completely serve no purpose other than aesthetic, which I enjoy. Although coincidentally, both Thermador 2 and Chomp A Lot appeared in the same fight in Series 8. Although one of them actually went further this time. They went out in the first round in this series, and then in Series 8, Thermador 2 got kind of hit by Shun, and also Chomp A Lot had a go at them as well, which was quite cool.
One thing I like to do, and y'all can give me some feedback on this, is that I like to take old robots and think, okay, if it was brought back in modern times to make it competitive, what would it look like? For Thermador, the idea I had is basically make the body a lot more like lobster shaped and give it the same 3-wheel drive that Ominous has. But it's red, it still has the claws, and it has the flipper. So it's an omni-drive flipper.
See, for me, I have had a go at redesigning it as well. And basically, I've kept it mostly the same, but changed the... Is it Mini Metro wheels? Or the hubs? And replaced them for the sort of as they are called these days, the Brazil wheels, which is the stuff that Whiplash, Black
Ooh.
Dragon, Copperhead, that style. So it's all just thick rubber. And then you seal off the flipper to make it sort of more pyramid-like at the front, but, keep it flipping the same way. And then have a flamethrower inbuilt into the claws, because why not?
You got flamethrowers.
Yeah.
You're broiling everything else.
That's one thing that, like, and I'm pretty sure, and like I'll reiterate this when we get to can opener. I am legitimately surprised that we don't really see a lot of like side crushers anymore as a concept in robotics, and because I feel like that's an idea that it has potential to do well. It just hasn't been tapped yet. I mean, even in like modern heavyweights with Kraken and Quantum, Spectre, the traditional crusher can be done well to success, but the horizontal like pincher crushers, I have not seen done in ages, and I think there is potential there to do that. To even, like,
I think the overhead crusher has come back well because top armor isn't as well protected these days because people are building less overhead weapons, whereas side armor is better and better because things are needing to tank hits from big spinners.
I mean, yeah, that is true. I mean, even just like something like for control, like to be a control bot, I think it could be done well. I sure as hell couldn't do it because I'm an idiot, but somebody out there who's smart could be able to.
Well, actually, you mentioned can opener. I guess we can start talking about it, I suppose. Once again, I mean, out of 4 series in a row, there's their second consecutive series of not making it past the first round.
And imagine like a racer who is like really good at like charity events or side events, but then when it comes to the actual like main series, like getting the points and winning the championship, just always seems to absolutely crap the bed. That's can opener.
Yeah, it's like, again, early Razor. Except can opener never managed to get past the first round at any point. Even in the reboot, they didn't get past the first round. This one they kind of got quite shit mixed on the side. Like Fluffy literally just opened them up on one side.
Ironically.
Yeah, no, for the robot called Can Opener, they like to get mauled quite a lot. The same happened in Series 8 as well, to lesser extreme degree, but Valkyrie definitely... I think Valkyrie and Apollo that kind of combo. Not Valkyrie, what's I talking about? PP3D. I'm thinking of BattleBots too much. PP3D and
Too
Apollo.
many undercutters.
Too many undercutters. That was the original one after all, Valkyrie, so... It could be worse though. I mean, in Series 6 they got stuck on barbaric response and then couldn't let go of them. But they have won like Annihilators as well.
Yeah, they've won 2 Annihilators. They're the only robot to have ever defended Annihilator Championship. How do you keep coming or getting out in the first round yet win 2 Annihilators? What is up with you, Can Opener?
Yeah. Literally gets killed in in Rumbles. I think only Series 5 was the only time it was ever on, like, it ever was in a 1v1 fight. Actually, yeah, like a traditional 1v1 fight was only Series 5, and it was the first time around, so of course it was kind of crap. Yeah. And then every other time it was in Rumbles and lost, but when it came to being in an arena with literally more robots, it held its own. I don't know. It's weird like that. I mean, in Series A, literally, I think if PP3D was able to snipe Apollo's other wheel, it would have not only survived that, but then the entire series would have been shaken up. But
yeah,
it had a chance there, but then it just got one bad flip, and it was like, yeah, so I'm dead now.
Yeah, it just didn't. I mean, this was kind of a harder heat for it, just because Fluffy was so damn reliable in this first round. Like, Fluffy had no issues whatsoever. I mean, granted, its opponents weren't like very high tier, but I bet if it had been less into the action and maybe it taken out Double Trouble, it could have probably survived.
You say that, but Can Opener sacrificed itself to take out the most powerful robot in not only the entire heat, but in all of Series 6, that being Demolition Man, the Chad.
Oh, Demolition Man. Now, honestly, Demolition Man in Series 7 looks kind of meh. This Demolition Man, though, is awesome.
It's an actual man, for starters.
Yeah, it's an actual man.
Yeah,
Those big saw blade wheels.
Yeah, I mean, I can't prove it, but they probably just took the wheels from Saw Point in Series 4 and just attached it to this robot instead. Because it is the same
I
team,
mean,
so...
I, I buy it. I buy that.
I mean, there's not many robots that look like this. Like, the only
I mean,
robot I can...
Rusty, maybe?
Yeah, Rusty kind of, but it's like an actual, like, an upright person that's also got, like, an overhead axe on it. Like, the only...
I mean, before you said the overhead axe bit, I was thinking Fatboy Tin
Yeah, Fatboy Tin's also another kind of humanoid kind of
or
robot.
Granny's Revenge.
The model inside the wheelchair. I mean, there's only one robot the Demolition Man actually reminds me of. Is a randomly obscure robot from Series 3, Crippler, the Lost to All Talk.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only robot that looks
Yeah.
anything close to this robot. And only because they are very similar, actually, but honestly, this robot's way better because it's just more appealing to look at.
It's a man.
It's not a Demolition Boy, it's a Demolition Man. He's eating his breakfast this morning, and he's come to whack you with this really tiny axe, apparently.
He's come here to kick ass and chew bubblegum.
And he's all out of ass. Where's the gum?
I mean, I love it. I mean, again, it's one of those robots that's all style and no actual fighting, but I don't care because I love it.
It's definitely something to be said that like the only robot in this entire heat that arguably is not only either like I guess good as far as like performance or aesthetic is Double Trouble.
Yeah, Double Trouble's probably the weakest designed robot here, just because we've seen Shredder already, and also just not that effective in general. But no, Demolition Man is definitely the best. My favorite robot here, probably with Chomp A Lot and 13 Black, I'd say design wise.
It's base. It's just a shame that it fell over and it couldn't get up.
Although I just love that its strength is powerful weapon. When it's got,
Press X to doubt.
Yeah, I mean, again, the stat boards are sometimes very strange, but yeah, Demolition Man, I'll always have a soft spot for, and spoilers for the Series 7 version, I don't really like it that much.
You ever seen those old like Looney Tunes cartoons where somebody just gets like hit with a hammer and like shoved into the ground? That's what Demolition Man in Series 7 looked like.
It actually does. Oh my god, you're actually right. I've never really thought about that before. It's funny, it wouldn't feel out of place in a really early series as well. Like, pop this in Series 3 and I'd go, yeah, that fits. But, like I try and do, I'll try and streamline the process too much. I guess most of the fights this episode, again, are very standard, I guess is the best way to describe it. I mean, it's all about that first fight, though, isn't it? Chomp A Lot, Thermador 2, Stinger, and 13 Black was quite a rumble. Thermador 2, it didn't really get a fight, to be quite honest. It was dead in 5 seconds.
It wanted to go dig itself back in the sand. That's why it went down the pit.
Well, actually, also, this is where the famous, when they have a stub article on the wiki. This is where that picture comes from, of Thermador in the pit. I love it.
Yep.
Because I was just always...
No.
It took me ages to work out where this came from. Yeah, I'm going to my room now.
Get the fuck out of my room! I'm playing Minecraft.
Minecraft. There's clearly the obvious shot on the wiki of you can see that Chomp A Lot thing just stuck up, like the thing that's protecting the claw. In that image, also Chomp A Lot looks really creepy because the eyes are like really lit up, so it looks really demented trying to grab onto 13 Black there. It's like it's trying to take my soul away. I think
he is.
It plays a curse on 13 Black.
The curse to win the heat. Oh no.
This heat is definitely not lacking in meme quality photos. I'll say that much.
Yeah, there's a good selection here. Memification. But also there's that one bit. I don't know what happened, but Stinger was like almost close to going into the pit. Like it's like 1 centimeter from the pit.
That is them learning, I feel. It's just like the moment where like the difference between Series 3 Stinger, where they do God knows what and end up in the pit, and this one is that it stops on the edge and manages to drive away. It's like, that is control.
That is impressive, yeah, given...
You do not know how difficult Stinger is to drive. Thwackbots in general are
I mean,
the hardest to drive. So to be able to stop that close to the pit and get away, bloody lucky or bloody good driving. I'm going to go with the latter.
I'd be a bit of both. I can see both. Honestly, the other fight's very standard, though. I mean, the only other thing I can think of was, with the case of the Fluffy Stinger fight, is that, again, until Fluffy's weapon stopped working, Stinger wasn't really doing much either.
Yeah, Fluffy was winning, and Stinger looked in a bad way for the longest time.
I mean, it actually looked like one of Stinger's wheels wasn't working for ages.
Yeah.
And then it just suddenly came back to life, a bit like Thermador 2 did as well. And then, as soon as the weapon stopped working, because, it's Fluffy, eventually the weapon's going to stop working, Stinger finally became Stinger. And he remembered how to Stinger. And started completely whacking Fluffy till it just died. Oh, but yeah, Stinger did Stinger things eventually. Took a bit of coaxing, but it managed to eventually get Stinger out of it.
Once we got out of the melees, you could really tell, like, in this episode, who the strongest robot was, and that was 13 Black. It was, I mean, especially considering that this heat had no flippers, which probably would have been the main weapon type to really. Well, no, there was Thermador. It just didn't flip.
Yeah,
but after the melees got done, you just knew it was the strongest robot out there now, and lo and behold, it won the heat. Which, I mean, hey, it's always good to see a new robot win a heat, especially considering, like, with Series 5, one of the main issues with it is that you had a lot of just the same robots that won in the previous series win again.
I mean, Series 6 has that problem as well to a big degree. Like, I think only is like Terahertz, 13 Black, and I think there's probably one more robot I'm missing. That was like new. Oh yeah, Dan Tonkia, that's it, from like who weren't in Series 5 or didn't make it into the semi-finals, also made it again. There weren't many surprises in Series 6, which is probably why I'm not the biggest fan of it as much. There are surprises, of course. I mean, I think, like, Thermador 2 and stuff at the time is quite shocking, or like, that's a big surprise.
Chaos Q being yeeted out of the arena, I remember that absolutely just broke my 6-year-old brain.
Yeah, that was quite a big moment, actually. How did I forget that one? That's the biggest shock of the whole series, actually. The twice reigning champion being ironically flipped out the arena. Was quite a big moment, yeah.
The future is now, old man.
The future is now, and it's not Chaos 2. It's all Dan Tonkia, or Dan Tomakaya, I should be calling it.
I'll say, I do wish for, like, this heat that some of the weaker, like, some of the robots, like, were shuffled around in some weaker heats, like, either, like, S3s or, God help y'all when you get to it, if you haven't already, Spawn Again's heat.
Oh, God. We haven't yet.
And just to, like, I guess, like, make it, like, a little bit... not only, like, make some of those heats less abysmal to watch, but also give the robots that are clearly at least good, if not great, a little bit extra chance to shine. I mean, pretty much all the robots except Double Trouble and Demolition Man achieved something that's really admirable.
Yeah, it was actually, honestly, a way more balanced heat in some ways. I mean, it's just the fact they put at least 3 of the best robots in the same battle, which is inevitable, I guess. I mean, 2 had to be in the same fight, probably. But maybe they could reverse, like, Thermador 2 or Sting into a different fight, possibly. Like, reversed, I don't know, maybe put, I don't know, Demolition Man replace it with Thermador 2 or something, maybe. And then maybe you could have had a bit of better second rounds.
Yeah, I still think in that universe, Fluffy beats Thermador 2.
Yeah, that's a sad thing. I can still see that happening. And then we'll get Demolition Man in the second round.
Yeah, which is
I
think illegal.
I approve of that. I approve. I will I'll bow down to my Demolition Man overlords. But yeah, it's one of those heats where there's not as much to talk about battle wise. It's why it's a good solid, like, 7, but I wouldn't give it anything higher. Like, the fights aren't terrible for the most part. I mean, the robots at least function in all the fights. It's just that they're not exciting. Again, you can do a lot worse. You could be Heat H which thankfully we're not covering next time because that's my least favorite Heat, the Spawn Again one. Ugh. But
Yeah.
we're covering Heat G next time, so that's good.
At
Everyone
least
likes
y'all
Selena.
get Anarchy. The fact that the team who was known for making a robot on the cheap made, honestly, arguably the best heavyweight walker that we have seen point blank. I mean, I know like in smaller weight classes there probably have been better walker robots, but as far as like just outright, televised heavyweight walkers, like traditional walkers, Anarchy is the best one, hands down. And again, I guess I kind of my point a second ago. In a weaker heat, in really a lot of weaker heats, it would have been a semifinalist, easy.
Actually, there's only one robot I want to just briefly mention before we end this, just because I want to go to talk about every robot too much, because that's kind of what the next Heat podcast will be for. But Inshreddable is one robot I've always found very noteworthy for the worst reasons. Is that it falls into a category of robots that I think looks cool but isn't actually very good, like at all.
It
It looks like it would have been quite fun, like it'd been quite good and stuff. Like it's kind of got a nice shape to it. It's got a decent a decently sized disc, considering some robots barely come in anything at all. And then it just kind of only barely got through the first round because Tornado accidentally pitted Terrible because they thought Unshreddable was out. That's the only reason they got through. Yeah, there's some coming. Revolution 2 is cool. We have OG Thor, which is still strange to look at with the claws, but And Terrible, still one of the best pun names ever put into Robot Wars. But Terrible. It actually kind of works as well because it never did anything, hence it's kind of terrible. But that was Heat F. So yeah. Overall, not a bad Heat. Again, a solid 6.5 out of 10, I think, 7-ish maybe. Just because, again, most of the battles were lackluster, but at least the robots for the most part were pretty fun. Yeah, I think that's my analysis. What overall, what would you say about the Heat, Jevan?
It is a decent Heat, I feel. There is a lot of good robots in it. Some that didn't really get to go as far as they should have done. Some that went out in about the right places, I feel. And we get to see more of Stinger for the last time, I think. Or, well, no, we see them again in Extreme 2 very briefly. But, this is kind of the main last appearance of Stinger, at least in regular competition, which is... It's a good send-off for them. They make a Heat final. Just a shame that the Fluffy shits the bed. Thermador shits the bed. And... Yeah.
Yeah, you currently saw a Heat where Thermador 2 went less far than Double Trouble. So
yeah.
And I know you can give your thoughts on it, Charlie. Is there any additional thoughts about this Heat you want to give?
I mean, I feel like I've basically said everything that I could have said about this. Demolition Man is Giga Chad, and I'm hoping somebody out there will just edit Demolition Man's head on Giga Chad and then just post that somewhere to really recognize just how otherworldly that robot is. Otherwise, all of them were pretty good. They were all pretty good. 13 Black, getting some success was good to see. It's good. It's good.
It's good. Yeah, Demolition Man was the man, most certainly. But yeah, so this was the Heat, of course. Of course, I've been Jim Dramatic, but Jevan, where can we find you online?
Have you looked behind the sofa?
No, I have not. I'll check one sec.
I'm not there. Surprise! You can find me on the World of Woodrow YouTube channel and World of Woodrow on Facebook as well, where you can find all of the latest news from the world of robot combat, plus other stuff that's also cool.
Because you're the man with the
plus
news.
Plus we do other things. No More Spinners, I think, is the other one that we're hoping to get back to soon. In which, James, I think you've got an appearance coming up at some point when we get round to editing it.
The episode where I didn't understand the rules halfway through, from the majority of it.
Yeah. I can't believe that you managed to get halfway through.
Yeah, I don't know how I did that.
Reveal that you didn't understand the rules. You did so well up to that point.
No, I thought I understood the rules, and then I said something, and it didn't work, and I was like, wait, do I understand the rules? Probably not. I don't think I do, actually. Help.
And where you can
Oh.
also see Charlie spoiling our Christmas frequently.
Oh, well, speaking.
That's why I'll say that's why you didn't have me on the newest episode, because you don't need me wrecking Christmas 2 years in a row.
Correct.
And well, speaking of the Charlie course, where can we find you on the interwebs then?
You can. No. I. I'm pretty sure people think I've been like dormant or dead for the last year. I'm still alive. Main place, Good Robottal, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I'm still working on the newest BattleBots pack. It's gonna encapsulate the 2020 and 2021 seasons. It was supposed to drop on the 6th, but because of me getting COVID, that pushed it back. I'm hoping to have it out before the end of the month. I'll have videos and links and everything, and hopefully y'all can share it around. It's been a long labor of love. I've put in like the better part of a year and a half into just this expansion alone. So it'd mean a lot if whoever's watching or whenever it drops or anything, if y'all can just try it out, bash around for a bit, post some videos, whatever y'all want to do. It's been fun, but it's been a very, very, very all-consuming project.
Well, I cannot wait to see all the models when they come out. That'd be brilliant. 2 seasons in one. I'm looking forward to that.
I did a count at right now, which I still have a few that I'm needing to do. I'm doing a Spinning Mayhem replica in honor of Rich Riley, the team captain who sadly passed away back last month. But I'm currently now at about 80 robots. 80.
Oh, damn. That's a lot of crashes.
You're gonna have that to look forward to if you and Sean bring back the Fuck It tournament.
Oh, believe me, we probably will end up doing it. You'll probably revive it. I might not necessarily be in the next one, but I'm sure you'll definitely be doing another Fuck It tournament with the next pack. But yeah, this has been a really fun podcast. It's nice to get back into this. I'll obviously try and be doing these at least every couple of months or so. I'm trying to do one a month or so, like maybe do a top 10, then do a podcast. Like I was planning to do it last year, but then work maybe realised I get tired because I have to wake up at like 5:45 most mornings. So fun, but oh well. But yeah, it's been very fun. Thank you for joining me, both of you. I've been Jim Dramatic signing off, and about World of Woodrow.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Charlie from Good Robottal.
Bye.
See you all later. Bye.